remember that night for as long as we live, because that shit was orchestrated. I mean, they come in from every direction. So, back in the 90s, the Fast and the Furious came out, and that was the hype back then, to get you a Honda and put you a Bumblebee tin can on the back of it and scream down the streets and be a street racer. So I could never get into the Hondas and the Toyotas, and you know, all my friends had them, but I could never get into them, man. I was just not a Honda fan. I wasn't a foreign car fan. So I went to a car lot and I bought a Ford Escort ZX2 and took it straight from the car lot, straight to the shop, pulled the motor out, and completely redid the motor. I bored it, put bigger pistons, different rods. I went all out with this car. All motor, you know, never put nitrous on the car, but brought that car out and started spanking ass with that car. And Hondas couldn't touch me. There was so many cars that lined up against me that I was just living in glory over. I was in an American-made car, and I was out with the Fast and the Furious boys, and I was winning. I won more money with that car than I think I ever won, well, up until, I don't know. I can't say that because I won a lot of money, but that car won me a lot of money. But so I got that car, and then I'm racing, and I'm like, I want to start a group. I want to start a group of people, you know, a group of guys to run around with me and do the street thing. So we started a group, and I worked for a guy. His name's Bobby Morris, and he had this badass Nova, big tire Nova. He had other cars too, but that was my first fast car I ever sat in and raced down the track. But I started my group. The car was called Game Over, so I started the Game Over Car Club, and we had 10, 12, I can't remember. We had some slow pieces of shit in this group. I mean, there was no rhyme or reason to it back then. If you had a car, even if it was your mom and daddy's car, and you would put my sticker on it and you'd come out and race on the street, we'd put a sticker on it and you'd come with the group. And I mean, we had Nissan Maximas in this group, and we raced on this street, Salters Creek Road in Virginia. And this is where I got my feel for you can't do it on the same street all the time. I mean, I learned that back then. So we'd go there every Friday night and Saturday night, every week. It didn't matter. We'd show up there, I'd get off work, we'd all get together, we'd go down there, we'd grudge race all night long with different cars. And even Bobby brought the big tire Nova out and grudge raced a big tire Camaro on that road. But every Friday and Saturday night, all summer long, we were on that street tearing it up. And there's this one night that I just wasn't feeling it, man. I'd watched a car pull in, and he pulled right in with my group like he knew us already. And we had never met this guy. And he pulled in, and he walked straight across the lot and come straight to me. Like he had seen me a million times. And he said, I want you and that Ford Escort. And I said, what are you driving? He said it was an RX-7. And I looked across and it was a white RX-7. And I was like, I looked at my buddies and I said, I'm not going to race you. And he said, why? I said, because you're a cop. And he said, well, and he couldn't say that he wasn't a cop, but he just sat there saying, if you're a pussy, you don't want to race me, blah, blah, blah. And so then one of my buddies turns to me and throws the keys to his car at me. And he's like, if you don't want to race him in your car, race him in mine. And then if you lose, you can come back and you can race him in yours. So I'm like, all right, dude, I'm telling you right now, he's a cop. And they didn't believe me. They were like, no, he wouldn't. So I took my buddy's car, which was a Honda Civic, and pulled out next to this guy, did my burnout, and back up, and I'm sitting there ready to go. I keep looking over at the guy, and it just didn't feel right, but I did it anyway. They dropped their arms. We were doing an arm drop. They dropped their arms, and away we went. Well, we stayed door to door, and I knew that RX-7 had way more than my buddy's Civic. Like, he should have jumped out on me and took off, and he should have busk at me because that Civic was so low. And I'm giving that Civic all it had at first, and I looked over and I seen this guy reach down and pick up a radio, like not a real big radio, but a police radio. I knew what it was. I knew all along. And he picked up this police radio, and when he did that, and I seen him talking on it, I immediately let off the gas and ripped the e-brake on this car and spun it around in the middle of the road. And as I was spinning around, I seen blue lights coming from in front of me, and I spin it around in the middle of the road, and I see blue lights coming from behind me. And then they're jumping out of the trees. I mean, there was cops from every direction. So I was dead in the water right there. I was probably 330 out, and there I am in my friend's car. All my guys down at the spot, they all scattered like rats and took off, and they were blocking them in, and it was a crazy night. But his car didn't get impounded because they were wanting me in my car. So they ended up giving me a bunch of tickets, and they couldn't impound my car because I wasn't in my car. I ended up walking into court with like 7 tickets that time, and I got out of it. I mean, I got out of pretty much all of it. I lost my license for like 90 days, and that was the hype of getting started into this. Was back then, driving around in something that slow but still getting in trouble was where it all started. I mean, we had a good time down on Salters Creek. A lot of my friends down there and stuff, and had some bad accidents down there, but that night, everybody will remember that night for as long as we live, because that shit was orchestrated. I mean, they come in from every direction, and I never raced back down there again. We ended up finding different spots, and then it died out for a while, and then I ended up moving back to Ohio shortly after, so then it really got interesting.